Hi, everyone. Good morning. Today is Sunday, the 15th of February, 2015. I'm Anna Koyman. We begin with a Fox News alert. While you were sleeping, the likely suspect behind two deadly terror attacks in Denmark killed in a wild shootout with police. But is there still a threat for more attacks? We are live with the breaking developments and the search for accomplices.
And then ISIS continues to march across Iraq with more clashes just miles from an air base with 300 American Marines. And this morning, we're learning Anbar province could fall into the hands of terrorists at any moment. Can they be stopped?
And 21 Coptic Christians executed at the hands of ISIS. And we're learning this morning more are at risk. Governor Huckabee is live this hour to react to that. Fox and Friends begins right now. Good Sunday morning, everyone. We start with a Fox News alert. Breaking overnight, police have killed the man believed to be behind two terror attacks in Denmark in a shootout outside of a train station in Copenhagen.
This comes just hours after that same man allegedly shot two officers and killed a Jewish man near that city's main synagogue. Video surveillance now suggests he also carried out an attack at a free speech event at a cafe just 2 miles away. That attack left one dead and 3 police officers wounded. This chilling recording from inside the event has just been released. Listen.
Why do we still say but when we...
Wow. Well, we are also getting a new look at the suspected gunman's home. The Danish prime minister is calling the attack, quote, an act of terror. And it's one eerily similar to last month's terror attack at the Charlie Hebdo office in Paris that left 11 people dead.
And right now, authorities do not believe anyone else was involved in the Copenhagen attacks, but they are keeping the city on high alert at this hour.
Well, that's where we find Fox GRN reporter Tom Carstensen. He's live on the phone in Copenhagen with the very latest on the situation. And what can you tell us?
Well, right now, they're searching an apartment in a part of Copenhagen near where he was shot. Not the same apartment where they found him by, but a different one. So they're trying to find out if there's something else there. Apparently, it was a taxi driver who they caught the taxi on surveillance camera, and then they got a hold of the taxi driver, and he drove the police to the apartment, where they then later found him when he came back about 4:50 in the morning.
Tom, do we know anything about this man? Do we know his name?
No name. We still only know what we knew yesterday or last night, which was that he's about 30 years old, 25 to 30, of Arab descent, speaking Danish. They haven't released anything yet. He's still, as far as I know, last I checked, he was the crime scene. He was still not the crime scene, but where he was shot, he's still lying with a tent around him. They're trying to find as much evidence as possible. We do, though, know the name of the person who was killed outside the Free Speech Center, and he's actually a documentary filmmaker who's been working in the movie industry for many years, and that he's 55 years old, not 40, as they said yesterday.
Tom, what do we know about the target of this attack at that free speech event? There were armed gunmen apparently outside of that cafe, is that right?
There were, inside there were agents from what's called PET, which is similar to the American FBI. They were there to protect Lars Vilks, the Swedish cartoonist, and luckily, because they got into a shootout with the suspect, and if they hadn't been there, he probably would have made it all the way in with his high-grade automatic rifle, and we can pretty much imagine what could have happened then. And then later on, it was similar, where he then murdered a security guard at the synagogue. There was a bar mitzvah going on inside, and then he murdered the security guard, and then police came and they were shot as well. So we were quite lucky, I think.
So we're hearing reports that the man who was killed at the Free Speech Center was had stepped outside for a cigarette and was just shot while standing on the sidewalk. Is that your understanding? Yeah, the
videos that are on the internet are showing him lying outside. So yeah, it's very likely he just went outside for a cigarette and then got shot by the suspect. He shot at a close range, like point blank, like he was only a meter from him, is what the witnesses are saying. I think that happened after the shootout with the police. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, and looking at this video here, it's not just 1 or 2 bullets. I mean, just bullets spraying all of the windows. You can only imagine the horror of all the people inside at that freedom of speech event that was going on, the panel there. As far as the investigation goes, what are you hearing from law enforcement, as they search for accomplices and try to see, what the scene was like ahead of the shooting? Are they going business to business, looking at surveillance videos? What are they doing?
they're using a lot of surveillance video, and that's also how they found this man, as I mentioned before, via the taxi driver. So yeah, they're not giving too much details on how they're doing things. They're quite secretive. They'll only tell us when they have actually found something. And right now, everything is still locked down around the crime scene, or the scene where the assailant was shot this morning, and obviously they're combing through everything, and then we'll hear bits and pieces during the day when they have more press conferences. But they're very busy. I mean, I live very near a big police station, which is for investigative police officers, which is usually completely dead in the weekend. There's a lot of activity today, so everybody's been pulled into work trying to find out.
Oh. Tom, we really appreciate the update from Copenhagen, Denmark. Hope to talk to you later in the show. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, interestingly about Lars Vilks, apparently he was, and the reason that these guards were there in the first place is because he had been on this assassination list.
Oh, by ISIS. He's been under attack for years. In fact, an American woman from Illinois was doing 10 years in an American prison for being part of a plot to kill him a few years ago. He became famous in Sweden by penning a cartoon of Muhammad attached to a dog's body, and ever since there has been a bounty on his head.
Yeah, that was in 2007 that he depicted the Prophet Muhammad as a dog. There have been so many attempts like this. Also in 2010, two brothers tried to burn down his home in southern Sweden and were imprisoned for attempted arson for that, too.
Well, one of the organizers is joining us on the phone of that free speech event. Her name is Hila Marie Brix. She was there, of course, at the time of this free speech event. And the founder of the Lars Vilks Committee. Nice to have you here this morning on the phone with us. Set the scene for us. What was it like inside that event yesterday as this all unfolded?
Well, you know, it was quite calm. We were about 30 people. Denmark is just a small country, so it was a sort of small event. And the French ambassador had just given his talk, and I was about to introduce the panel. And Ina Shevchenko, the leader of the feminist group Femen, she was speaking about freedom of speech, and suddenly we heard a lot of noise. And I was just thinking, what is this noise? And then the security guards got up and said, everybody down, Lars out, Lars being Lars Vilks.
Describe... I'm sorry. Describe what the gunman looked like. I understand you said he was wearing a mask, about 25 to 30 years old.
We don't know. We simply don't know. He tried to shoot his way in, but he didn't succeed. But you know, according to the video recording, you know, he was not very old. He was sort of covering his face and wearing sort of a heavy jacket and trousers. But we couldn't see him. He tried to shoot his way in.
Huh? Do you think these killings will make it more or less likely that free speech conferences are held in the future in Scandinavia?
I think that this, of course, there's always always awakes a lot of fear, self-censorship. But I think there's also a growing awareness in Denmark, Scandinavia, in France, other European countries that this is a core value for Western societies. And we cannot give in to terrorist attacks and say we cannot hold these meetings anymore. Of course, we have to think of the location, and we have to think about security.
And Hila, the Danish Prime Minister, has called this an act of terror. Why is that significant?
It is, of course, significant. Sometimes you hear a terrorist attack being labeled just as a criminal act or something like that. You have to be very specific, I think, especially as a politician, because this is a terror attack. There's no other way to describe it.
Describe the feeling of the people in Denmark this morning. I mean, obviously, you can't speak for the country at large, but just the small, tight-knit community in this area. Obviously, police had a large portion of it on lockdown yesterday as they were thinking that there might be accomplices. Describe the mood there this morning.
I think things here are pretty calm in the area. Of course, you can see from the pictures on television that there's still sort of places people can't go, and the police is still investigating. But you know, it's also just daily life in Denmark. And at the same time, of course, the Danish people are shocked because we haven't had an attack like this before for many, many years. And nothing like this, I think, ever, really.
You said that free speech is a core Western value. Do you believe it's under attack?
I do believe it's under attack, and by saying it's a core Western value, I would love to see free speech, being a value for all people and for all societies. But it is our core value, and it is under attack. And I think it has been sort of ever since Ayatollah Khomeini gave out his fatwa, that was in 1989, and in connection with Salman Rushdie's book, The Satanic Verses. And we simply can't give in or stop sort of saying what we feel or what we think, or making the cartoons we want to make. It's very important.
Did Lars Vilks, is he certain that he was the intended target?
He's pretty certain, and I would say so am I. I mean, we always have the setup that we have had yesterday, with policemen and with security guards, and it's not possible to hold a meeting with Lars Vilks without that kind of security, and it hasn't been for several years. So I think there's no doubt about it that he was the target.
What is the security like for him right now, and is he fearful that there will be another attack and attempt at his life in the near future?
No, I think that Mr. Vilks is not a very fearful person. He's quite a cool guy, and he's sort of used to this. He's been living with armed protection round the clock for more than 4 years. So he's not really fearful. That's not his style.
Well, what about you? I mean, you're on television now internationally, publicly identifying yourself with this event. Does that make you feel a target? Are you intimidated? Will you continue standing up for free speech?
Yeah, no, I don't feel frightened. I mean, you cannot sort of be an advocate for freedom of speech and sort of arrange these kind of meetings. And this was not the first with Lars Vilks. I think it was the 7th meeting that we had. And then when something like this happens, you sort of go in hiding and say, I will not talk to the media and give out my opinion about what happened. You have to choose.
Well, you're a brave woman.
Thanks.
Helle, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Founder of the Lars Vilks Committee. They're about to introduce another speaker when the gunfire unfolded yesterday. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Just the eerie similarities.
And you heard that audio
Charlie
tape.
Hebdo.
And I heard that audio tape with her about to introduce when the gunfire unfolds.
You want to think things are moving in the right direction in Europe. It's worth keeping in mind that free speech is not guaranteed in Europe, and it's not a reality in Europe. People still go to prison in all European countries and Great Britain for saying unpopular things, not for doing things, for saying things. It's very different from the United States, and it's worth remembering the freedom that we have here, I think, and defending it.
Coming up here on the show, more on our top story. Does this latest attack in Denmark show the jihad message is spreading faster than ever? And how do you fight something like this? Fox News terror analyst Waleed Phares will join us next.
Then ISIS continues to march in Iraq with more clashes just miles from an airbase with 300 U.S. Marines. And this morning we are learning Anbar province could fall back into the hands of terrorists. Can they be stopped?
It's time to experience what's made Lexus the fastest-growing automotive luxury brand on the road. There's never been a better time to drive a Lexus. During the Command Performance Sales Event, get great offers on your favorite Lexus models, now through March 31st. See your Lexus dealer.
In the nation, we know how it feels when you aren't treated like a priority. We do things differently.
We'll take care of it.
We put members first. Join the nation.
Thank you. Nationwide is on your side.
A beauty queen banished. 10 years later, the evidence trail and truth about Tara Grinstead. Tonight, Greta investigates the chilling case.
What are you looking for in a man?
Intelligence, sense of humor, good communication.